Monday. Time for Rock Solid Sports.
The Tennessee Volunteers on a Neyland Stadium football Saturday afternoon come running through the tee.
Voted Blank News Knoxville's finest sports show.
It's football time in Tennessee.
Sponsored by Cool Beans, a block off the strip on Lake Avenue.
To the checkerboards. Touchdown, Tennessee.
Rock Solid Sports, the only show with a home field advantage for UT Athletics. Here's tonight's host.
Welcome in, everybody, to the Monday edition of Rock Solid Sports. It is Monday, November 21st, and we're coming at you live from the WTK station here on Rocky Top. I got my guy, Joseph Badano, next to me. I'm your host, Jack Foster, for the night. Across the glass, we have Riley Haltom, and at our very generous sponsor over at Cool Beans, we have Bryson. Before we kick it over to Bryson, I want to tell you guys that Rock Solid Sports' Monday night show is sponsored by Cool Beans, 21 and up, college sports pub next to campus at 1817 Lake Avenue, a block off the strip. Cool Beans has 25 rotating beer taps and bottles, HD TVs, darts, pool, and arcade games. Open every day at 11 a.m. with burgers, wings, and sandwiches for dine-in or takeout with Vol card accepted. More on Instagram at Knox Cool Beans or at coolbeansbar.com. They are our Monday sponsor, and Bryson is our man over there tonight. Bryson, how's it going, my friend?
It is going well, as always, over here at Cool Beans. We got some NBA basketball and some college basketball with Arkansas versus Louisville on over here at Cool Beans. Good music playing, some good drinks, and the perfect place to come out and watch Monday Night Football tonight as well. So go ahead and come out to Cool Beans tonight.
Absolutely, Bryson. Going to be a fun Monday Night Football tonight as they're in Mexico City, and we're going to get into that a little later on in the hour. NFL Talk will be later on the 7 o'clock hour, of course. So, Joseph, we're going to kick it off on a little bit of a somber note. There's no other way to do it, really. Tennessee football lost their second game of the season this past Saturday to the South Carolina Gamecocks, 63-38. It's the most points scored against a top 5 team in the poll era. Just a historically bad performance, and one that has officially dashed Tennessee's playoff chances. And it wasn't a good night for Tennessee, Joseph. Just can't put it any other way.
Yeah, so I would like to sit here and give you, some excuse. The refs were awful. You lost your quarterback, which, ended up happening, but not at a point where the game was already out of hand. But no, Tennessee just flat out went in there to Columbia, to Williams-Brice Stadium, and flat out got beat by South Carolina. South Carolina came out on their first possession, scored a touchdown really quickly. Vols were able to respond right there, but then from there, South Carolina just kept punching, and Tennessee's defense had zero answers. It really looked like the worst defensive performance I've ever seen, and I'm pretty sure it's the worst defensive performance. I think 63 points is one of the most points given up by an AP top 5 team in college football history.
Correct.
So the worst defensive performance I think I've ever seen. And Spencer Rattler and the South Carolina passing game literally had anything and everything they wanted. There was not anything that they were challenged on. There was not a throw where Spencer Rattler was hurried or he threw it in danger. He threw it to wide open guys pretty much all night, and it was an awful look for Tennessee, and it was what ruined their college football playoff chances.
Most points given up by the Vols in SEC play ever. So, there's so many stats and just history to point to that was made in all the wrong ways for the Tennessee football team on Saturday night. And this was such a jarring loss. It'd be different if Tennessee went into a hostile environment, which Williams-Brice is. Columbia is a tough place to play at night. It'd have been different if they'd have just lost, 35-31 or 42-38. Defense was off. But 63, how do you let that happen when everything is on the line? I mean, it's not like they were looking ahead to a big rivalry game either. If they are looking ahead, which everyone talks about teams doing, they're looking ahead to December 31st? It is such a odd thing for this to happen. I still can't wrap my brain.
If they were looking ahead, they were looking ahead to the playoffs.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Which they weren't even guaranteed at that point. But no, just a sorry attempt at a game, and there's no excuse for it. South Carolina came out, executed their game plan perfectly, and Tennessee had no answers. couldn't adjust. Nine touchdowns on 10 drives.
Yep.
That's how good South Carolina
One
beat
punt.
Tennessee.
First drive of the second half. One punt.
Yeah, it was just remarkable, like to see that happen. It's just like nobody really expected it. Like I don't think there was many people that thought that would happen at all. It's like maybe if somebody thought they would lose, but not lose like that. And I think part of that is not saying that it changes the fact that South Carolina outplayed them and Tennessee's coaches got outcoached on Saturday, and that's just the fact. But I do think they were looking ahead a little bit. It felt like the entire country was looking ahead a little bit when you were talking about the college football playoff rankings and where Tennessee can be. And people were talking about the whole day, well, like, oh, well, if Ohio State loses or if Michigan loses, and everybody was scoreboard watching. And then it's like people forget, hey, they still have to play 2 football games. They're not just guaranteed to get in if Ohio State loses or somebody else loses. They still have to win those last 2 games, and then that didn't happen.
Yeah, very weird day in college football as a whole. I mean, Tennessee was 5th when they lost, but if you look at the top 4 teams, all 4 won, but they all 4 won by a combined 26 points. That's the lowest point differential, in college football playoff history when all 4 teams win. So it was a really odd day. And like you said, every Tennessee fan was scoreboard watching the Michigan game, the Ohio State game, the TCU game. So all these teams got a little tight. And of course, you can say Michigan and Ohio State were looking ahead to next week. But Tennessee, this is just one I did not see coming.
Yeah.
I mean, Spencer Rattler, like 8 touchdowns, 9 picks entering the day.
This is
6
where
touchdowns.
This is where it gets me. The week before against Florida, South Carolina did not have a touchdown. They didn't score a touchdown. They
6
had
points.
They had 0 offense. They came in as one of the worst offenses in the SEC, and they come out and score 63 points on a Tennessee defense. And yes, and we'll get to this. Yes, they were missing Jeremy Banks for an undisclosed reason, but your defense shouldn't rely on one player. Your defense should not. And if your defense and your entire defense is glued together by one guy, there's something wrong. But I don't think that's it. But something was happening. I don't know if it was with the players and the effort they were giving. I don't know if it was with Tim Banks and the defensive plays he was calling, but something wasn't going right for the Vols, and South Carolina saw that, and they picked at it over and over and over. You know what? They succeeded over and over and over. Tennessee could not win on defense, and they had no chance in that game.
Mentioned Jeremy Banks, of course.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, and I was just going to say, it's not like, obviously it is surprising because of how South Carolina have been playing all season, but it seems like there have been a lot of quarterbacks that have had either career or season highs. Like you look back to like Anthony Richardson throwing for, I think, over 400 against Florida. Like this is not the first time that a quarterback that came in that was struggling has taken advantage of the Tennessee secondary this season.
It's not, but this is other level. Like Joseph has said, and like we've said, I mean, Riley, when you look at the South Carolina team, they more than tripled their points per game average of 20.7, scoring 63. We talk about Jeremy Banks, the surprise inactive. There's a lot of rumors going around, and we'll address those shortly after I get your answer on this. But how significant do you think it was for Tennessee's top linebacker to not be out there just for the morale of the defense and just, not having their leader?
I mean, you can tell just by looking, they looked like they had no heart on the field, no type of energy. They just looked dead the entire game, and they just got picked on and picked on and picked on by Spencer Rattler, who, like you mentioned, hasn't had the best season. And I didn't think that he would turn that around, throw 6 touchdowns against the Vols. It was just ugly. I think losing Banks for this game definitely had some type of morale deficit to go on. I don't know. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, and let's just squash this bug real quick. We are not speculating at all. No one knows exactly what has happened. There's been multiple rumors. If you're on Twitter, I'm sure you already know them. But yeah, Jeremy Banks, there's rumors of an altercation maybe he got in with Hendon Hooker, and that's why he didn't travel. Like I said, and then Jeremy Banks tweeted he had missed a couple practices and was disciplined for that reason. We do know that Jeremy Banks showed support for Hendon Hooker after, of course, Hooker suffered the torn ACL, just a nightmare on the field there for number 5. So, who knows what happened, but the bottom line is it really didn't matter. Allowing South Carolina to score 63 and that bad of a performance, I don't think much is changing with Jeremy Banks. Sure, they're going to have a better morale. They're going to have their leader, but man, they just got gashed. The DBs had no answer. Tim Banks had no answer for that offensive play calling from South Carolina.
Whatever happened with Jeremy Banks and the reason he did not travel with the team and the reason he did not suit up against South Carolina, we will never know. No one will ever know except for the people in that locker room and a part of that team. And guess what? We don't need to know. You don't need to know because it doesn't matter now. Just like Jack said, I don't think Jeremy Banks being out there helps much. You might get a little bit more of a pass rush. But Jeremy Banks isn't out there covering those wide receivers.
Yeah.
Jeremy Banks isn't playing DB. It's not like the tight ends were involved or the running backs were involved. No, it was Spencer Rattler and the wide receivers picking on the DBs.
Just
Blowing
by them.
Jeremy Banks isn't going to change that. Now, he might have, like I said, had some pass rush, gotten to Spencer Rattler a couple times, but that doesn't change the fact that Rattler picked apart the DBs whenever he wanted. You're not blitzing Jeremy Banks every single play. He's not a pass rusher. He's a linebacker. He's going to go out there and play linebacker. So, whatever the problem is, it doesn't matter anymore. Who cares what the rumors are? That's their business. That's that team's business. It stays in the locker room. But I can tell you this, they need to get it figured out before this weekend because you got a hot Vandy team coming up who is playing for a bowl game, and they're going to play like their life is on the line like they have these last 2 games. And they've won 2 straight SEC games after not winning 26. After losing 26 straight, now they've won 2 straight. They're coming and looking for blood. Plus, on top of that, you have all these rumors about checkering Vandy. You have all these rumors that, Nashville's just a second Neyland. They're going to be pissed. They're going to be looking for blood. Tennessee is whatever split locker room, whatever, miscommunication, whatever tempers are flaring in that locker room, they need to forget it. It doesn't matter for the South Carolina game, but it sure does matter for this Vandy game coming up because an upset is possible.
It is, in fact, Dorvember, guys. I'm not sure if you're aware.
Yeah.
But we are in Dorvember.
It is.
And Tennessee is traveling west to Nashville to take on Vanderbilt, who, like Joseph said, beat Kentucky, beat Florida. Can they complete the trifecta to close their season and get bowl eligible? What do we think, guys? Joe Milton is going to be starting at quarterback. What's your confidence level coming into this weekend?
Before we talk about this game, I do want to talk about Hendon Hooker real quick.
Yeah.
Hendon Hooker, obviously we know, tore the ACL. It was announced last night.
Yeah, yesterday.
It was announced yesterday that he tore his ACL and he would miss the remainder of the season, ending his career in college and his career here at Tennessee. I just want to say that Hendon Hooker will go down as a Tennessee football legend. He was only here for 2 short years. He came in. He wasn't even the starter. He was the backup guy. He didn't even commit to Heupel. He committed to Jeremy Pruitt,
right?
Out of Virginia Tech, and he stuck with us even through the transfer portal. And Hendon Hooker turned this team around for the better, and he deserves everything in the world. He didn't deserve the knee injury. No one deserves a knee injury.
No.
But Hendon Hooker especially did not deserve to end his Tennessee career like that. So prayers to Hendon Hooker for a speedy recovery, and a thank you to Hendon Hooker for what he's done for Tennessee football.
Yeah, a guy who has a great story. The game was almost taken away from him once before, and he has came back. So we know he can do that, and hopefully he can do it again. I have full confidence. We've seen guys come back from an ACL and be as good as they've ever been. So for his NFL hopes, for his draft stock, I hope the recovery is speedy and a good one. So as you said, Hendon Hooker, a Tennessee legend, immediately.
Yeah, and then
for sure.
Go ahead, Bryson.
He's definitely gonna be remembered as the guy that turned it around, because I feel like when you look at the recruits and stuff that are coming in, I think this could be a step towards Tennessee football turning it around for the better. And I think he's always going to be remembered as the guy that turned it around if it does turn out that way, because he has been integral to everything down to like the culture that they had on that team and his play on the field and just being a leader off the field. So I hope he has a speedy recovery as always, and praying for him to get better, and hopefully he'll be able to get drafted and have a great career in the pros.
Yeah, he brought Tennessee from unranked to #1 in the country.
Yeah.
Like there's something to be said about that. So yeah, just a remarkable player, remarkable teammate, remarkable person. Just that you look at the things he do. He wrote a children's book.
Yeah.
Like he's an insanely good person on and off the field. So yeah, prayers for him. Speedy recovery, man. He's got a future in the NFL.
Greatest Tennessee quarterback of our lifetime?
Of our lifetimes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
No question.
Not
I would say that.
not many Tennessee quarterbacks have beaten Alabama and Florida in the same season. Hendon Hooker did it in his second year as a starter. But now we're on to the next era
On to
in
Vandy.
Bazooka Joe.
Wait, when did that nickname start, by the way?
Well, it's always been a thing since last year,
Okay.
since he had a rocket arm, but it spiked up again in the Missouri game when he threw that. It was only a 53-yard pass, but it went like 70 yards in the air.
Yeah. Right,
Ridiculous.
the
But
squirrel rocket.
in terms of if Joe Milton can win games for Tennessee, specifically this weekend against Vanderbilt, absolutely. Joe Milton has all the talent in the world. Joe Milton has all the ability. He knows the offense. He's been a part of this system for 2 years. He's worked with all these wide receivers. Joe Milton is probably the most prepared backup that you will have in college football. I can't think of another. One, he's got experience. Two, he's got more talent than Hendon Hooker, just natural talent.
Right. That's why he won the job.
The question is whether or not Joe Milton can have the decision making and the football IQ that Hendon Hooker had, and that's going to be the difference. I think he can. We've seen it in flashes this season as a backup, but that was in garbage time. And so now he's going to have to do it for a full 4 quarters. I think he can. I have no worries about Joe Milton taking over this weekend in the bowl game in the postseason. And then next year, he's just got to get his mind right and understand that this is his team and that he's got to go out there and just play his game.
I got a question for y'all.
Yeah.
Do you think we see more squirrel white than we usually would?
Yes.
You think so?
Yeah.
Yes,
I mean,
we saw it at the end of South Carolina.
yeah.
I think that's Joe's guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
what I'm thinking.
I think they
that's
click.
his favorite target.
And he's the fastest receiver on the team. So
yeah.
the deep ball. Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
that was my first
We're going to
thought.
be running those Tyreek Hill. He's got number 10 on too. He's going to look just like him.
Yeah. Right. Running around like a squirrel for sure. But
Now,
yeah, we could see a squirrel bomb in Nashville.
what he's got to do is just got to make sure they got to make sure that he gets some into a rhythm. You can't go out and try to get the deep ball immediately. You got to get him into a rhythm because if he does start hitting those overthrows, you don't know how that's going to affect him for a full 4 quarters. But get him into a rhythm, and I think you're fine.
And Vandy's susceptible against the run. So
And
use your running backs.
You're going to see a lot of Jabari Small, Jalen Ryan, Dylan Sampson.
Use some quarterback powers. Use your running backs. So
They ran Joe Milton on some QB options against Missouri and South Carolina.
Yeah, 2 for 17 against South Carolina.
Yeah, so you could see Joe Milton use his legs.
I know it's Akron, but I think it was the Akron game he had a big run. So
yeah, so you could see Joe Milton use his legs.
He's had some good bursts this season. Yeah, my confidence level in Tennessee, getting back to the original question, is high against Vanderbilt. I know they're hot, but knowing how last week ended, like the amount of want that I feel like Tennessee's going to have to finish strong for Hendon Hooker, like, that when something like that happens,
oh yeah,
I just feel a big rebound coming. They got you can't lose this game.
And from the rumors that were that this locker room is split now, as bad as it is, I think the Hendon Hooker injury
would bring everyone
would bring everyone together. And you know what? Best case scenario is they go out there and they play Tennessee football. And when you see Tennessee football get going, it's really good. Before we move on to
we're going to talk big picture in a sec. Let's get quick rapid fire score predictions. Tennessee Vanderbilt right now. I'll go first. I'm going to say Tennessee puts up some good points. I'm going to say 45-28.
I'll go 42-27.
Riley?
Give me 41-35.
Ooh, close.
Ooh, I like it.
Oh, 41-35. I don't know about that. I'm going to go 45-24.
All right, Bryson. We got some good listeners send us in some questions. So, Joseph, let's shake it.
Yeah, first we'll go Daryl Bowles tweeted at us on Twitter. He wanted to know what's the status of the Tennessee fan base overall and what is Coach Heupel's status going forward. With the fan base, if I had I don't necessarily agree with the hypotheticals. If I had told you this before the season, would you have taken it? Because most of the time the answer is yes with Tennessee football. If I had told you we were going 10-2, say we beat Vandy 10-2 and going to a New Year's Six bowl, you would have taken it. But now that they lost the way they did and what was on the line, no one's going to accept that. Not now. You would never accept that if you knew what was on the line. But calm down, relax. The season is not over. It was still a great season. You were
Yeah.
number 1 in the college football playoff rankings.
The thing is when you have it in your hands,
yeah,
like literally right there, and that happens, it's so
Yeah.
hard to forget. This is going to put a stain on what was a tremendous season.
You-
It's going to be hard to.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. Don't overreact. 10-2 is great. Year 2, great. But come on,
I know.
it's going to put a
understand.
stain, and everyone's going to remember this and the ACL team.
Yeah, but listen, you were number 1 in the college football playoffs. You had a Heisman candidate at quarterback. You were one of the most dominant teams in college football for a majority of the season.
Were had.
I know. I'm just saying. It was a memorable season. It was a great season. You were never gonna see that with Derek Dooley or Butch Jones or even Jeremy Pruitt. Never.
No.
Never. Josh Heupel, Hendon Hooker, they've changed us around. There's no need. Yes, you can be mad at the loss. You can be mad at how it ended and what was on the line. But listen, don't go out there saying that, spreading out the fact that I've seen this on Twitter. Don't go out there saying that the team intentionally threw the game, that the defense intentionally threw the game because of some rumored fight.
No way they threw it. Maybe they were a little flat, but there's zero chance they're throwing a game
Exactly.
with the CFP chance on all.
No
Definitely
intentional
not. Yeah,
throwing.
come on now.
So whoever started those rumors, forget them. If you're on Twitter and you see that, just scroll past it because it's not true. This team did not do that. They, like Jack said,
Yeah,
they
this is
might
what
have.
I'll also say on your point, Joseph, about not worrying about it and talking about the season as a whole. They still beat Alabama for
True.
the first time in 15 years.
Very true. And Florida.
They beat Florida. When's the last time? I don't know when the last time Tennessee beat both Florida and Alabama in the same year, but I know it was at least 16 years ago.
You're right about that. And to the other part of Daryl's,
we can only get so much.
To the other part of Daryl's question, just real quick, is Josh? What is Josh Heupel's status going forward? He'll be the coach. He's not going anywhere.
Yeah, there's nothing to even talk about.
Tim Banks, on the other hand, there might be some iffy, but honestly, Willie Martinez as well. But honestly, you're not going to see any firings during the season. That would be disastrous, I think. But
yeah, especially this late, it's not happening.
Yeah, the craziest narrative I've seen on Twitter after the South Carolina game is that somehow Heupel is just new Butch Jones. Like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah,
guys.
no,
Come on.
Just don't do that. And then
Thanks,
Daryl, for your question. And now we go over to Riley's dad, Jeff Haltom.
Yeah.
Chances for the Sugar Bowl for Tennessee. Cotton Bowl is still New Year's 6, but possibly a shot at TCU and the Sugar would be great. Thoughts? And we also have Doug Alder on Facebook asking which bowl and which opponent would you like to see? I think Sugar's definitely in the realm. I mean, as long as you don't go out there and lose to Vandy. It also depends on what some other teams do.
Listen, here's my thing. I'm not a huge bowl guy.
Yeah.
I'm kind of in the camp that bowls don't really matter.
They don't.
And so I honestly could care less. But what I want to see from the final rankings is for Tennessee to be ranked ahead of Alabama. That's all I care about because it should be that way. They're both 2 losses. Holy crap, Tennessee won the head-to-head.
And
they should get a New Year's 6.
Not only did they win head-to-head.
If they don't get a New Year's 6, that is not cool.
Not only did they win head-to-head, but they beat the other team that LSU or that Alabama lost to.
Right.
By 30.
And when LSU has 3 losses after losing the SEC championship, Tennessee should be ahead of them too. We're going to learn a lot with tomorrow night's rankings as far as how much the committee thinks that loss was that bad. It's the worst loss of the 3 teams of any loss they're going to have.
Mm-hmm.
But still, a New Year's 6 should be in play as long as they take care of business in Nashville this weekend.
And in terms of opponents?
I want a good defense. I don't want to see a track. I want to see good defense for Joe Milton to face.
It's probably going to end up being somebody like Oklahoma State maybe or somebody like that. I don't know.
Oklahoma State lost to Oklahoma over the weekend.
Yeah. It's not gonna be
they got smashed.
Pretty
they
embarrassing.
5 losses.
No,
are they 6-5 or 7-4?
I think they have 3. I think they have 3 or 4 losses.
Yeah, it's at least 4.
But honestly, you don't know. It's got to shake out. It's going to be someone in the top 10 because Tennessee's not falling out of the top 10 unless they lose to Vanderbilt. That's the only way. If they lose to Vanderbilt, they're out of the top 10. If they beat Vanderbilt, they're going to finish at 8th or 9th. Be done with.
Yeah. What Ole Miss was kind of the Tennessee of last year, right? And they played the Big 12 champion Baylor.
Yeah. And they lost because they didn't have Matt Corral. But
right. All right. Well, yeah, that'll be fun to watch. Obviously, no playing on December 31st and the big ones for Tennessee, but a season to remember nonetheless. We're going to take a quick break here. Word from our sponsors. Stick around here on Rock Solid Sports as we'll have some Vol basketball and some Lady Vol basketball coming up for you. Is it time to hit the panic alarm for the Lady Vols, guys? We'll find out after the break here on Rock Solid Sports.
WUTK thanks Cool Beans, 1817 Lake Avenue, 1 block south of the Strip, for sponsoring and hosting the Monday night Rock Solid Sports broadcast at 7 p.m. Cool Beans is the pregame and postgame location for UT football, and Knoxville's home for the NFL Sunday Ticket, Titans football on the big screen, and more. Rock Solid Sports kicks off Monday Night Football with the show's live broadcast from 7 to 8 Monday nights at Cool Beans. Cool Beans is 21 and over after 9 p.m. with a full and late night menu. CoolBeansBar.com or their Facebook page.
Hi, this is UT Chancellor Dondi Plowman. WUTK is a radio lab that gives undergraduate and graduate students the opportunity to build a portfolio through hands-on broadcasting experience. Your donation helps keep this lab operational. So please consider donating today at WUTKradio.com/donate. Let's give our all for volunteer radio.
They're playing basketball.
Volunteer Radio thanks the UT Athletic Department and the men's basketball program for their support. Coach Barnes' 8th season on the hardwood includes home games against Kentucky, Vandy, and more at Thompson Bowling Arena. General public ticket info for UT basketball is at allvols.com. Student ticket info and login is at bigorangetickets.utk.edu. That's TIX. Volunteer Radio says go Vols basketball.
Support for WUTK comes from Fieldhouse Social, the modern sports bar next to campus at University Commons. Fieldhouse Social serves American craft fare such as burgers, wings, and more with high tops around the bar, a separate dining area, and a center lounge with leather chairs and couches in front of their 23-foot LED TV wall for Tennessee and pro sports. Fieldhouse Social has an outdoor patio with trivia twice a week and sponsors Wednesday's Rock Solid Sports. FieldhouseSocial.com.
90.3 The Rock proudly brings Knoxville the best in new and classic, independent, and underground music on the Indie Owl. Monday nights from 8 to 10, hosted by former award-winning alumni from the WUTK Music Department and sponsored by Magnolia Records, 1515 North Central Avenue in Knoxville, and the Tomato Head Restaurant on Market Square and in the Gallery Shopping Center. Spinning cutting-edge music from around the world that pushes musical boundaries like noise pop, math rock, slowcore, shoegaze, garage rock, chamber pop, chill wave, and more. The Indie Owl brings you hard-to-find music from the artists that make it to the listeners who love it. The Indie Owl also provides independent artist news and chances to win Tomato Head and Magnolia Records gift cards. Tune in to Knoxville's true independent radio. The Indie Owl, Monday nights at 8, only on 90.3 The Rock, always bringing Knoxville new music first.
The Rock keeps the Big Orange Sports info on air thanks to support from the UT Athletic Department and the Lady Vols basketball program. Coach Kelly Harper and the Lady Vols 2022-2023 home schedule includes games against UConn, Virginia Tech, SEC foes, and more. General public ticket info is at allvols.com. Student ticket info and login is at bigorangetickets.utk.edu. That's TIX. WUTK says go Lady Vols.
The Rock receives support from The Hill, Fort Sanders' destination for wings, beer, and sports, including college football every Saturday and the NFL Sunday Ticket. The Hill proudly hosts Rock Solid Sports Friday broadcast from 7 to 8 p.m. Located at 1105 Forest Avenue, just blocks from UT campus, The Hill is open 11 a.m. to 3 a.m. every day. TheHillKnox.com.
The Rock thanks the Knoxville Ice Bears Southern Professional Hockey League team for their support. Their 2022-2023 home ice season from October through April includes games with SPHL rivals Fayetteville, Huntsville, Roanoke, and more at the Civic Coliseum downtown. Single game and season tickets are at KnoxvilleIceBears.com or 865-525-PUCK. Rock Solid Sports features Ice Bears Wednesdays with news and updates. Volunteer Radio says go Ice Bears.
Welcome back in, everybody, to the Monday edition of Rock Solid Sports. We had a good time in segment one talking some Vol football. Now we move on to segment two. Got a little hoops talk coming your way. I got Joseph Bonanno to my left, Riley Haltom across the glass, and Bryson Wright over at Cool Beans Bar and Grill, our generous sponsor for the Monday show. Bryson, how we doing, my friend?
Yep, still doing good over here at Cool Beans Bar and Grill. Still got some good music playing, good food and good drinks for everybody out here. So go ahead and get out the Cool Beans tonight, especially ahead of Monday Night Football, as always, as we say on Monday night.
While we are done with college football talk here on the Monday edition, I do want to add, at the end of segment 1, we talked about bowl games and who we would like to see. I now have my answer. I've always been, a Dabo Swinney fan. I like that program. But I do want to say that a Tennessee-Clemson bowl matchup would be absolutely incredible color-wise. I would just watch that game.
As long as Tennessee doesn't wear those
gush over the uniforms.
As long as Tennessee doesn't wear those stupid orange helmets anymore.
No, you can't do orange helmets. Clemson will wear the orange helmets.
Listen.
So like both unis, pristine.
The orange helmets, listen, I thought they would be cool, but they looked like Clemson out there, and I want them fired into the sun.
Well, I don't think they'll ever wear them.
Imagine Tennessee Clemson in the Orange Bowl.
Yes.
Oh,
at a kid.
Is Orange Bowl New Year's Six Bowl?
I think so. Yeah.
I want to say, yeah.
I think it is. I'm pretty sure.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Anyway,
Right.
but yeah, there's not a bad uniform in Clemson's locker room, and Tennessee has some awesome ones too. So I'd love to see that. That would be a joy.
It is.
Yeah. All right.
It's the second oldest bowl game in the country behind the Rose Bowl.
There you go. Well,
Tied with the Sugar Bowl and the Sun Bowl.
that will officially do it for college football talk anyway. Let's move on to basketball talk. Let's talk about the men first. They haven't played in a minute. They played last week. Their most recent game was against Florida Gulf Coast, a mauling, if you will, in Thompson Bowling Arena. 81-50. Tennessee demolished them. A good bounce back win after that ugly Colorado loss in Nashville. So Tennessee headed to the Bahamas today. Actually, they play Wednesday.
Yeah.
It's Butler in the first game down there in the tropical island. So what are you thinking about the Vols so far in their season? Obviously, the one loss was tough, but what are we thinking?
Tennessee, when they're not shooting good, they're not playing good, which is a really scary hill to die on if you're a basketball team, to rely on making threes and making those tough shots. But, Rick Barnes said that that's the team they are now, and that's the hill they'll die on. Do I agree that they should be doing that? No, because I don't think any team is going to have success, especially in the tournament, playing like that. But if you can get on a streak and you can roll, it could work out. But that's a big if.
Do you think they have good enough shooters to live or die by the three?
You have Vescovi, who is one of the best shooters in the SEC right now. You have Josiah Jordan-James, who is playing out of his mind right now. He's been the best. He's been the best shooter. He's been the best defender. He's been the best basketball player on the court anytime Tennessee plays, and he goes out there and plays as well. And then you have the transfer Tyreek Key, who is one of the best scorers that I think I've ever seen in a Tennessee uniform.
Well, that's a little early.
in my 4 times here, just in the 3 games, he's
only
so
been
impressive.
2 games though, because he didn't really do anything against Florida Gulf Coast.
Because he got 2 early fouls.
He looks great, but
just pure talent.
I think we're going to see waves. I think we're going to see waves. Like 1 month it'll be Santi, 1 month it'll be Zakai's hot, 1 month it'll be back to Tyreek. But the question is, are they all going to be clicking at the same time?
That's the problem with this offense. If they're not all clicking at the same time, your team can get stalled out.
They have
really
no
quickly.
offensive presence down low. 0 right now.
Yeah, but okay, so I'll look at it from the other standpoint, though, is that I think it's really going to come down to Olivier Kamwa, because he's going to have to – he's really the only guy that they go to on the inside, and they're going to have to score on the inside at some point. Like, that's what I always go back to that Colorado game. They only scored 10 points in the paint. It's going to be really hard to win SEC games with no inside presence, and I think it was against Florida Gulf Coast, so it's not the level of opponent that you would like to see them do it against, but they gave it to him inside a lot more, and they played better as a whole. And I think they do need to play maybe obviously they're going to shoot a lot of threes, but maybe trying to get some more like drive and kick out threes instead of just passing the ball around, because it makes it a lot harder to get open.
Yeah, you're right. They have been passing the ball just an insane amount. Riley, what's your thoughts on this Tennessee team? Obviously, Josiah Jordan-James has looked like the best player in a Tennessee uniform so far this season. Doesn't look like the injury's bothering him. What's your thoughts on how the first 3 games have gone so far?
Yeah, not the start you want with the loss to Colorado, especially in an environment that's basically home field. But there's still a lot of room for these guys to grow and kind of mesh together. And I definitely see that there's still a lot of potential there for this team. And I'm right there with the camp of Bryson. You have to get some kind of inside presence, and it looks like Olivier Conwell is going to be that guy. You got to get the ball to him and make things happen down low. Give him some chances because, yeah, you can't rely entirely on shooting. It's never going to work like that.
And speaking of that post presence, yeah, they have Olivier Conwell. Obviously, Euros is probably going to be back in the lineup. More than likely, we'll get a majority of the starts. I don't know why.
Well, I don't know if it's a slam dunk. If Jonas continues to improve,
that's where I was going. I was going
if he just becomes an absolute elite defender, Barnes, he's going to start.
I was going to Jonas. And the thing I really like about Jonas Adu is how athletic he is. Have you seen him move around on a court?
He can shoot. He's quick.
Oh yeah,
and he's 7 foot tall.
he is an extremely athletic and has all the talent in the world. Just whether or not he can go out there and just make his shots, play solid defense consistently is the thing with Jonas. But I feel like if he does get in that rhythm and he does get on a roll, having that combo of a big between Olivier and Jonas, and then having some Euros sprinkled in there, I think Tennessee can have a really good post game. It's just whether or not those guys come out and play as good as we know they can play.
Yeah, I'm right with you.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I would say that Jonas might be, if you're talking about just talent-wise, it's between him and Olivier, but he might be like the most talented guy, like in that front court, like overall. Because I think he can score, he can shoot the ball very well. We've seen it a couple times. I mean, he doesn't shoot the ball often, but when he does, I mean, we've seen him shoot more than we've seen Euro shoot. I mean, that's a fact.
Right.
So we know that he has that in his bag. Like he can, like you can't completely sag off of him. Now he's not going to go out there and take 6 threes in a game, but you can't just leave him wide open out there like they do with some of the other bigs.
Oh yeah, he'll hit a 3 if you let him shoot it. He can hit it.
What about Julian Phillips, guys? The 5-star freshman coming in. He started every game. He hasn't really had a huge impact yet. How big of an impact do you think he can have for the Vols this year?
I watched Julian Phillips against Florida Gulf Coast, and
he didn't let him do anything.
Listen,
him every turn.
Listen, the amount of times he was getting to the rim was insane. And he's quick, he's athletic, but they wouldn't let him do anything because they slapped him across the face anytime he went up for a layup or any kind of shot. I mean, he scored 11 points on 1 field goal made on 3 attempts.
Why?
He went 1 for 3 with 11 points because he went to the free throw line 11 times. I mean, it's ridiculous. But I think he can be a really good guy. I mean, I saw him playing on defense against Florida Gulf Coast. His defense is pretty solid. He's still good freshman. He's still he's not playing up to the competition of D1 basketball yet. But I think he's that type of guy that you give him another year to grow, to get stronger, or to get stronger, to get bigger, kind of do the college bulk.
Yeah, there's thoughts he could be a one and done. I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
How hyped up he's been. So
he might be one and done. He's got to put up the stats to be one and done. He hasn't done that so far.
Well, it's 3 games, right?
I know, but
I'm just saying
he's going to be a
first
really good
glimpse,
piece.
first impressions. We're just testing the waters here.
I'm impressed with him so far. I just think he's got to find his role as a freshman and be able to understand where he sizes up against this D1 talent. But I think he's got all the ability in the world to be successful in college.
This is what I'll say. Whenever I look at stuff like in your first couple games, I like to look at the way he affects the game, even if his shot isn't falling. So even if he hasn't been scoring, I mean, he still took 2 big charges in that. I think it was against Florida Gulf Coast. Like he's a guy. He's going to go out there. He's going to take charges. He's going to defend. He's had some really athletic blocks on defense too. Yes. And I think that's the thing is when you look at how athletic he is, those kind of lengths and stuff, I think the reason why people would see him maybe being a one and done is because he has like the NBA measurables. But I do agree, Joseph. I think that if he came back again like next year, he'll be even better. But I think he just needs experience. He has all the tools to be a great player.
Well, what do we think is going to shake out with this starting lineup? Because Josiah didn't start the first 2 games as he was still recovering, getting back in full shape. Then Urosh goes down, so that allows you move Olivier to the 5, start Phillips at the 4, Josiah at the 3. Who's going to be the odd man out if Ursh is back?
That starting lineup against Florida Gulf Coast is their best starting lineup
Right.
they'll throw out there.
But I still think
I
Barnes
agree
is
on
going to start Europe.
I know he will, but it's a mistake. It's a mistake. You got to put Olivier out there. He's better. He's just been better. He's been more consistent.
It is a smaller lineup. Like,
and
it's
listen,
a height advantage.
the way Rick Barnes plays basketball, we saw this last year. He'll throw as many lineups out there as he wants. He'll mix. I mean, Jemai Mashak is a guy.
Yeah, I wanted to get into it.
Jemai
Story of that
Mashak
Florida Gulf Coast second half.
is a guy that, last year he came in garbage time, got a couple minutes late in the game. This year, he's a guy that's stepping up, and now he's a guy that is going to be a six-man type guy, like Zakai Ziegler coming off the bench, like Tyreek Key was supposed to be at the start of the year. So you're going to see all these different lineups. I don't think the starting 5 really matters with Rick Barnes. I just don't.
Sense. It didn't last year. So.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just not how Rick Barnes plays basketball, or coaches basketball, I should say.
And Jemai, he was a guy who scored 10 points in the second half against Florida Gulf Coast. And you mentioned Zakai Ziegler and the role he played for Tennessee last season. He may have played a similar role, but Jemai Mashak is very similar in just how
intensity,
great defense, awesome intensity, very physical, and he's just so happy all the time. Like his personality is amazing. He's one of my favorite players to have in post game because he's always going to bring a smile to your face.
I don't think I saw a moment in that game where he didn't have some kind of smile on his face. Even when he was, he was out there getting steals, he was smiling while doing it.
And Rick talked all offseason about how he's one of the most improved players. So I really have high excitations. I don't have high expectations, but I have high excitations for Jemai Mashak.
Absolutely.
The role he can play for Tennessee basketball this year.
Absolutely.
And I think he's going to be a fan favorite, kind of like the guy was last year.
Yeah.
He's going to kind of emerge as one of the fan favorites. And I think it's just because of the way he plays defense. And I think that's really what a lot of, especially college basketball fans in general, they like to see, guys that go out there and hustle for every loose ball. I remember one play where it was pretty clear that the ball was going to go out of bounds behind half court, but he still sprinted until he knew that he couldn't get there. And it's the little stuff like that you notice about players that I think is going to be a reason why he's going to be really good for Tennessee and why I think he's going to be a fan favorite for the rest of the year for sure.
Well, like I mentioned earlier, Tennessee's heading to the Bahamas today. Here's what's shaking over there in the Tropicals. They're going to play Butler on Wednesday at night around 7:30 p.m. If they win that, they'll play the winner of USC or BYU. That is Southern Cal or BYU. If they lose, they'll play the loser of that game. And then we'll move on from there. There's 8 teams total in the Bahamas, so it's going to be pretty fun. See how all that shakes out. The other Tennessee team that was just in the Bahamas was the Lady Vols. They started the weekend off with Rutgers on Saturday. Big, massive win, blowout win. The first time we've really seen the Lady Vols fire on all cylinders, if you want to say, in that game this season. And it might have been because Rutgers is just a really bad basketball team, because Tennessee then got beat pretty handedly against UCLA, who was unranked yesterday.
Points.
Yeah,
right? 17
80
points.
to 63.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And not a good defensive performance at all. And then today they lose a heartbreaker to Gonzaga. So 1-2 in the Bahamas for the Lady Vols, Joseph.
Yeah. This team just right now does not know how to win. You have all the talent in the world. You have Jordan Horston. You have Rakia Jackson. You have Jasmine Powell, who's been out there balling so far. You have Jasmine Franklin, who's out there. Tamari Key, who, has, she's never been the flashy player, but she's, been at least somewhat effective.
Yeah, the talent is there. Right.
But they just don't know how to win. And it's not that they don't know how to play together, because you see the chemistry. It's just late in those games, it just disappears. I don't know why. I don't know if it's if it's a team thing or if it's a Kelly Harper thing.
Bryson?
Well, this is what I'll also say, because you mentioned Tamari Key. And I think that if you look at one player that's going to have to step up, I think it's going to be her. I think today she only had 1 rebound. Tamari Key cannot have 1 rebound in a game.
Yeah.
That's unacceptable.
She wasn't on the court a whole lot. Yeah, and I think
I know still, but that's another thing. You got to stay out of foul trouble. You're a senior. You're not a freshman anymore. You got to stay out of foul trouble. And the one thing I will say about the Lady Vols is they played a tough schedule to start, but they were ranked ahead of all of these teams that they've been playing in the preseason. Even though UCLA isn't unranked, they're a team that's been good in the past. Even though Gonzaga is unranked, they're a team that you usually see in the tournament. Now they haven't gone to the Final Four, stuff like that, but it's not like they are playing a bunch of bad teams. So I think that's the one positive, is that these losses are coming against tough competition, but it also is worrisome because coming into the season, you're a top 5 team. You shouldn't be 2-4 at any time if you're coming into the season in the top 4 teams.
Absolutely not. And they outplayed Ohio State in that first half, and then it just all fell apart. And, you mentioned Tamari Key getting in foul trouble. She did it early in that game, and she did it today as well against Gonzaga. Had 4 fouls. She ended the day only, what was it?
2 for 3.
2 for 3 from field goal and 1 rebound.
1 rebound. When you're, how tall is she? 6'10"? 6'6"?
Yeah.
She looks 6'10".
I mean,
to me, I'm short. But listen, when you're 6'10" and you tower over every single person on the court and you only have 1 rebound, there is something wrong.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. And it's like I don't want to say they're not they're not trying. I'm not trying to say that, but the effort on the court, just from what I've seen,
they get so here
not
it is.
There.
They get so defeated so quickly.
Yes, and I feel so much. Just Kelly gets so nervous on the sideline.
You can see it on her face.
She gets so nervous. She did it last year, but her players found a way to win games late, and now it's not happening. Like, there's not much that has changed. They were playing in close games. I mean, they were getting blown out last year, but they were playing in close games, but they found a way to win those games. Find a way to lose those games now.
The issue is there is not a winner on that team right now.
Except Jordan Horston. I will say.
Yes. There is.
She is a winner.
But the thing with Jordan Horston is she's missed time with injury. She missed last year. She's missed some time early this year. She's gonna have to figure out a way to carry the Lady Vols team, because I promise you, if the Lady Vols are gonna drop out of the top 25 after that loss today,
yeah, they will.
They have a chance to miss the NCAA tournament for the first time in their history.
Okay.
I'm not saying they're going to.
We're not even.
I'm not saying they're going to. It's a long season ahead. But the trend that they're going on now, not being able to finish games, not being able to compete in all 4 quarters, they are trending to miss the tournament for the first time. I'm not saying it's going to happen. That's the trend it's looking at. And if it does, Kelly Harper, hot seat.
So what's the answer? Is it just to, we've talked about pretty broad topics, and, Tamari Key playing better would help. But, what do you think is the biggest key to kind of at least try to turn this around? Because it's not, they're still going down the road. They haven't even made the U-turn yet, right? They're not coming back to the destination. They're still going the wrong way.
Yeah.
So what's the first step in turning that wheel the other way?
I mean,
rebounding, getting back to Lady Ball basketball.
But honestly, Kelly Harper mentioned all offseason about this isn't really a rebounding team anymore. I mean, so it almost feels like she's okay with it.
And she'd be wrong, because that's not
need to be.
Exactly. You have to have that presence. You have to be on their boards. That's part of why the Lady Vols were so good last year.
I mean, to be fair, they out-rebounded Gonzaga today.
Yeah, but I don't think they did against UCLA. They didn't against Indiana. They didn't against UMass.
Yes.
So
it's
already happened thrice
last year,
and it happened twice last year.
They were out rebounding people by like 10, 15 last year.
Yes.
Right.
It wasn't
And
even
now
close.
Now it's more like if they're out rebounding people, it's by 2 or 3, or maybe I think that it was 6.
Well, it was 4 today.
Was actually that's what I'm saying. I think today might have been their best game on the board so far. And I mean, you did see. I mean, Gonzaga's not a bad team. They were a couple of shots away. Like, they had a chance to win that game at the end.
Yeah.
Right? The shots didn't fall.
I mean,
right. So when you look at it, their best rebounding games have correlated to their best games of the season.
Yeah, I mean, that UCLA loss, they got out rebounded by 11.
Yeah,
that never happens.
Listen, Tennessee, the Lady Vols, Kelly Harper, every Lady Vol on that team, they need to figure something out, because whatever they're doing right now is not working. I don't know what the key is, because honestly, there are so many different things that are wrong. One night it can be shooting, one night it's rebounding, one night it's you just quit on yourself.
Well, every night it's been rebounding.
Okay, most nights it's been rebounding, but you also have problems with shooting. You have problems with the team just quitting after having a lead. Yeah. I don't know where that issue is. I don't know if they get comfortable and then they just were like, okay, we're good, and then the other team comes back and they just stop giving effort. I don't know what it is, and that's a problem. If you can't even pick out the clear problems outside of rebounding, there's an issue.
Here's my thing.
I would say the other problem is they have to find a way to score outside of Jordan Horston and Rakia Jackson too.
Yeah.
Like, that has been a struggle. I mean, Jasmine Palace had some good games, but like I said, today she only had 7. They're going to need somebody else that can consistently score, and they just They haven't had anybody that can do that, and I think that's going to be the problem. You're going to need Lakia Jackson to have one of those crazy games, or Jordan Horston to put up 20, or maybe both of them to put up 20 in a game for you to beat a good team. And I think that's going to be the problem. Is it's going to be they're going to, like, if they can't get any more scoring off the bench, they're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, they will. And they'll be back in Thompson-Boling Arena this weekend, Friday night, against Colorado at 7 p.m. So go cheer on your Lady Vols. Hopefully they can try to get back to 500. They'll go 3-4 if they win, but, one step closer. Anyway, that'll do it for this segment of Rock Solid Sports. We'll have some NFL talk after this quick break from our sponsors. Stick around here on Rock Solid Sports.
WUTK thanks Cool Beans, 1817 Lake Avenue, 1 block south of the Strip, for sponsoring and hosting the Monday night Rock Solid Sports broadcast at 7 p.m. Cool Beans is the pregame and postgame location for UT football, and Knoxville's home for the NFL Sunday Ticket, Titans football on the big screen, and more. Rock Solid Sports kicks off Monday Night Football with the show's live broadcast from 7 to 8 Monday nights at Cool Beans. Cool Beans is 21 and over after 9 p.m. with a full and late night menu. CoolBeansBar.com or their Facebook page.
They're playing basketball.
Volunteer Radio thanks to UT Athletic Department and the men's basketball program for their support. Coach Barnes' 8th season on the hardwood includes home games against Kentucky, Vandy, and more at Thompson-Boling Arena. General public ticket info for UT basketball is at allvols.com. Student ticket info and login is at bigorangetick.utk.edu. That's TIX. Volunteer Radio says Go Vols basketball.
The Rock keeps the Big Orange Sports info on air thanks to support from the UT Athletic Department and the Lady Vols basketball program. Coach Kelly Harper and the Lady Vols 2022-2023 home schedule includes games against UConn, Virginia Tech, SEC foes, and more. General public ticket info is at allvols.com. Student ticket info and login is at bigorangetick.utk.edu. That's TIX. WUTK says Go Lady Vols.
90.3 The Rock proudly brings Knoxville the best in new and classic, independent, and underground music on the Indie Owl. Monday nights from 8 to 10, hosted by former award-winning alumni from the WUTK Music Department and sponsored by Magnolia Records, 1515 North Central Avenue in Knoxville, and the Tomato Head Restaurant on Market Square and in the Gallery Shopping Center. Spinning cutting-edge music from around the world that pushes musical boundaries like noise pop, math rock, slowcore, shoegaze, garage rock, chamber pop, chill wave, and more. The Indie Owl brings you hard-to-find music from the artists that make it to the listeners who love it. The Indie Owl also provides independent artist news and chances to win Tomato Head and Magnolia Records gift cards. Tune in to Knoxville's true independent radio. The Indie Owl, Monday nights at 8, only on 90.3 The Rock, always bringing Knoxville new music first.
All right, people, welcome back into the Monday edition of Rock Solid Sports. We're going to close out tonight's show with a little NFL action. I guess you could call it Victory Monday still, but it was really Victory Friday for the Tennessee Titans after their big win over the Green Bay Packers in Lambeau Thursday night. Joseph, just a great win, and Tennessee's rolling 7-3 now.
Yeah, takes on just quick hits off reactions after that game. I don't know where in the world that Tennessee offense came from, but please do not go away. Please do not go away.
Right. He got arrested afterward.
Hold up. We'll get to that for a second. Just wait up. So Tennessee, 27 points. Their highest point total this season by far. Ryan Tannehill, his first 300-yard game this season, 330 yards, 2 touchdowns. He did have that really bad interception, but at the end of the day, it didn't really hurt the Titans because the Green Bay Packers are really, really bad. I don't know how they beat the Cowboys the week before.
Concentrated power of will.
Probably. But Aaron Rodgers, look, when you say Ryan Tannehill outduels Aaron Rodgers, you must have thought that Aaron Rodgers broke his leg, but no. Aaron Rodgers just played crap.
And Tennessee's defense is so good. I'm almost ready to say they're the best defense.
I've been saying it for the past 3 weeks.
I think they might be.
No, I think they have to be. I think when you look at around the league, I don't think there's another defense. Well, I'll say this. I think
Cowboys.
They're the most important defense.
Yeah.
I think they're the most important defense in the NFL. I don't know if they're the best, like, as a whole, but if Tennessee's defense doesn't come to play, they're not winning games. And that's just a fact. like the Cowboys, even if the defense doesn't play great, they still have a chance because they can still put up some points, right? But there's been if Tennessee's defense wasn't holding teams to 10 and 17 and stuff like that, what would their record be right now?
Bad, really bad. Also, shout out Treylon Burks.
Yeah, great name.
Oh my gosh, shout out Treylon Burks.
Got
7
tired at the
receptions,
end.
111 yards, and he ended the game on a little. You can't see it on the air, but you might be able to see it on the camera. On a little, calling him small, calling Jair Alexander small after that great catch down the sideline.
One of the better cornerbacks in the league too.
Whew, man.
And Titans got their revenge for Rodgers and Adams doing that to them a couple years back.
2 years ago.
So 51-yard bomb to Burks to end the game like that. I liked it. I thought it was cool.
And then Todd Downing, who called it the greatest game he has in his entire lifetime, proceeded to go home, get really drunk, and try to drive and speed, and got arrested. And Mike Vrabel had to go bail him out.
Just another drive he couldn't complete, guys. Darn. At least he completed the drives that mattered in the game.
Let's not joke about drunk driving now.
I'm not. I'm just saying.
Todd Downing, you screwed up, like you usually do.
Well, it'll be okay. But yeah, Tennessee Titans are 7-3 in full command of the South and looking good for the playoff chances.
Real quick for the Packers, the problem with the Packers is not Aaron Rodgers. I mean, it is. He's playing really bad. But it's also because they don't run the ball as much as they need to. Aaron Jones had 12 carries in this game. Why are you not giving
Aaron Jones is so good.
Why are you not giving your best offensive player right now the ball more? Like the game before against the Cowboys where they won, 28 carries. This one, 12. And he caught the ball 6 times.
I think it was partly because they got behind, though. But, I don't think they should have just cut him out of the offense completely. But I think part of it was they kind of got behind and they felt like they had to throw the ball.
Yeah.
Right? But I still think he has to get at least 20 carries. So I agree with you on that for sure.
Yeah, well, so you got 20 carries with Derrick Henry. He was on the winning side on Thursday night.
Yeah, he didn't have a great game.
Well, but they stuck with it. They stuck to their guns while getting a little creative on offense. I really liked what I saw from Tennessee on Thursday night. I got that game wrong. Shout out Cover 4. Go tune into our NFL podcast with us 4 on it.
On our
YouTube.
YouTube.
All of our NFL predictions.
On our YouTube and on our Spotify.
Yeah, we got video now. Exciting times here at WTK. All right, to end the show, it's Monday Night Football tonight in Mexico City. The Niners and the Cards. Quick, who we got tonight, guys? Bryson, let's start with you.
So I actually don't even remember who I picked on Cover 4.
You picked,
but for some reason, I think I'm just gonna pick I think I'm gonna pick the Niners.
That's what you picked.
I've been going back and forth on it all week. That's what I picked. Okay, yeah. Then I'm sticking with the Niners.
Riley, real quick.
Colt McCoy is not winning this game. Give me the Niners all day.
Oh yeah, you didn't know Kyler Murray's out with a hamstring injury for the second straight
I thought
week.
he was gonna give it. Okay, yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah, okay.
Red and gold all the way.
Give me Christian McCaffrey, Jimmy G, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle. One of the best defenses in a while. Give me the Niners. There's no way that Cardinals are winning this.
Absolutely. Live in Mexico City here in about 20 minutes on ESPN. For Joseph, for Riley, for Bryson, I'm Jack Foster, your host tonight of the Monday edition of Rock Solid Sports. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next time.